Stop training like a baby back bitch.
You heard him. You heard the woman. You want to build muscle, you want to get jacked. Everybody want to be a bodybuilder, but nobody want to lift no heavy ass weights. Oh,
Justin, I promise this is not really who I am. Well, it is. But
this is exactly who you are. Listen, Alexa's in prep
I
right
saw I saw pictures for this weekend.
now. He said he saw some pictures from this weekend. Listen, Alexa's in prep right now. And when we're in prep, it becomes pretty hard for us to have sympathy for people who don't want to train hard or try hard, for people who have lofty goals or high expectations and aren't willing to put in the work and aren't willing to be a little bit uncomfortable and push past pain and kind of see what the fuck they're made of. So I understand where Alexa's coming from with this. We'd be getting a lot of training videos. We always assess training videos. And it's not that I don't think that a lot of athletes, it's not that I don't think you're trying. It's that I think one of the hardest things to develop in the gym is the ability to separate emotion from the movement, separate the pain from what you're trying to accomplish. Of course, it's uncomfortable. Of course, it hurts.
I'm gonna jump. Can I jump?
Jump in here, yeah.
Ooh, spooky.
I'm gonna put this ring light on so people can see our faces.
I'm gonna go one further on that one and say. Okay, I'm gonna go one further than that and say that if you are somebody who is a bit emotional, first and foremost, therapy is wonderful. The gym can be cathartic, but it is not the same as therapy, and I would recommend it if it is something that sounds appealing to you.
I know where you're going with this, and I like it.
But number two, when we get into a set that typically is going to be a compound movement, it's going to be really freaking heavy. You're going to hit a point where your brain is going to tell you to stop, to not go any further, and it's going to keep yelling that at you. If you keep pushing past that, it'll do it again. And eventually, if you do carry any sort of trauma or weight or anything that you carry around with you from an emotional standpoint that holds more of a negative connotation, it will typically come to the surface. And your training at that point establishes a new level and understanding of what failure truly means. And the more often that you can become acquainted with this place that's 2 steps past when your brain tells you that's enough, the easier it will be to get to, and the more power I have found personally that I have over both getting to that place and that trauma.
You can stop being a baby back bitch.
Stop being a baby back bitch.
That's what it
Justin,
comes down
just so you
to.
know, okay, let me hang on. Can we get some context for this first?
Give some context.
I am in prep, as you know, or if you don't know, I am in prep, and my cardio got upped pretty high around 13 weeks out, and I was feeling really sorry for myself, and I was like, this is bullshit, dude. Like, stop feeling sorry for yourself, just go do it. Stop being a baby back bitch. And I just kept saying that to myself. And eventually I did my cardio. It worked.
It does work. It did
Rule
work.
number one, don't be a baby back bitch.
That's it. Yeah.
It's funny
It
because
does.
before
It rolls off the tongue
it,
nicely.
it sounds so good. Before you had told me that, I like my mantra before I go into like my heavy sets is always don't be a little bitch. And so whenever you told me that that's a thing for you, like don't be a baby back bitch, like it's changed now. So I love that, but
I think anybody who's been lifting for any significant amount of time, like Alexis said, we understand that the mind will quit 1,000 times before the body does. The body is capable of absolutely insane things if you can get your mind out of the way, if you can dissociate from the pain, whatever it is that's going on in your head, whatever the thoughts are that are telling you to stop. I know prior to my lifts, especially the big heavy ones, I take a moment to prepare myself mentally. Physically, yeah, I'm warming up my body. I'm feeling my movement pattern. I'm doing my feeder sets. I'm getting my mind and my body in the zone to execute a movement. But before my top sets, I take a moment just to specifically get my mind ready. And there's been a few strategies that I've used over the years. Alexa brought up the sort of deeply rooted traumas, fears, anger, insecurity, whatever, like the negative feelings, the negative emotions that we have. Alexa mentioned that those come up a lot if you continue to push yourself and push yourself and push yourself. Anybody who's ever like caught themselves crying in the bottom of a leg press or a hack squat, like we know what that feels like. And sometimes you don't know if it's sweat or tears or a little bit of both or what's going on there. But I used to use that when I was first learning how to train with a high level of intensity. I used to dig up those memories, those feelings for like a minute or two before I got into my top set, to the point where like I did not know what was going on in front of me. And if you were going to tap me on the shoulder at that point, I would probably not be a very nice person. So like I may have taken it a little too far. But like I am preparing my body to do something it's never done before. And that's the whole point.
Really quick, making a big note of that. Listen to what he just said. He's preparing his body to do something that it's never done before. He already knows that his body is capable of doing that thing going into the set. Set your expectations freaking high for yourselves. That's the first thing. A lot of us, we're selling ourselves short, picking up too light of weights for too few of reps. Go on.
at me.
So I'm preparing myself to do something that I know my body has never done before, but I also know that my body is capable of doing. I don't know what the limit is. And I think I mentioned this during our team meetup. For a lot of people, we set these limitations of like what's possible or what we're capable of in our minds. And then before we even get into the set, we've almost decided when it's going to end. And if we can shift those limiting beliefs and like actually believe that we can do more, dude, I've seen, I mean, some of the best sets of my life I've actually had with Alexa. And
That sounds fun.
the best sets of my life. That's really funny. The best sets. Nice. Where, dude, it is unbelievable that she and I, whoever was performing these sets, were able to keep going. We've been training at pro gyms where the entire leg room stops and starts staring at us. And when the set's over, they applaud. Like the point at which you're able to push your body is not defined by, or is defined by, the limitations that you set before you go into the set. So in the moments before your movement, when you're going into your top sets, understand that if you set a limit, that's your limit. We know that a limit exists, but don't allow the fact that that a limit exists keep you from believing that you're capable of more. Because I know for me, for Alexa, especially during those sets, I have them like burned into my brain. The point wasn't to hit a target. The point was to find out what we're made of and see what's possible. And I think because we learned to train that way, we don't train to hit rep ranges. We select a weight that we think will achieve failure within the target rep range, but we only know that because we're using previous data to go off of. But just because the rep range ends doesn't mean we stop. I want to find out how far I can take it. What you got? You're looking at me like you got something.
I was thinking about all of the sets. You have like a few sets burned into your memory of this, like when you're superhuman.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to replicate as often as we can. Because those are the sets where hypertrophy happens, like on the highest level, growing tissue happens during those sets. So I think a few things. One, knowing that the limit exists only where you place it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if channeling emotion is something that happens for you in those places, don't push it away. Like, learn to lean into it.
Mm-hmm. Controlled aggression.
Yeah, control aggression. And allow yourself to feel it after the set is over. Every one of those sets that I was just talking about, I put down tears in after. Like, not like a tear. The whole gym saw me bawling.
Yeah.
But it's okay because I just did a really good set, so I can cry at the gym.
And anyone who like gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then something that I don't think that we've touched on yet that I think is really important is your focus in the gym. It is definitely a social place for us. We are all like gym rats. This is where we congregate and hopefully make some friends. If not, at minimum, make a friend of a spotter.
Mm-hmm.
But the focus can kind of be taken away from what it is that you're trying to achieve. If you're spending your time scrolling social media, if you're spending your time having conversations with friends while you're doing your warm-up sets, whatever. If your intention is to lean into the set and like really work, you got to be taking your warm-up set seriously. You got to be focused. You can't be like scrolling social media. It's not really like a leisure time.
You're not just going through motions here.
Definitely don't be working.
Mm-hmm. You're not just going through motions.
And even if your goal isn't, even if you're watching this and you're like, I don't want to be a bodybuilder, I don't want to put on a lot of muscle, I still would advise the focus bit because you need it as a time to connect with your physical body, connect with your movements, understand your training.
Not only that, I don't think enough people take weightlifting as seriously as they should, considering the fact that it is dangerous. You know, you're putting a lot of weight on your spine and squatting up and down. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. We need to treat our weightlifting sessions like practice. It is practice. We're practicing our movement patterns. I played baseball growing up. One movement is to hit a ball with the bat. That's one movement.
It's pretty
to
hard
swing. One of the hardest things in sports, to hit a round ball with a round bat. Pretty hard to do that. But we practice one movement thousands and thousands and thousands of times before we get to the point where we can actually be good at it. The thing is, when you're playing baseball, you get instant feedback. You either have a good swing, you made good contact, and the ball went where you wanted it to go, or you don't have a good swing, you didn't make contact, and the ball didn't go where you wanted it to go. It's instant feedback. You know whether or not you did something properly. Weightlifting does not have that instant feedback loop. It's not just moving a weight from A to B. There's a lot of different ways we can move a weight from A to B that are incorrect, that are dangerous, that could lead to something less than desired.
So now we're getting into the other side of training.
Well, I'm not done yet with this one though. Real
Oh,
quick.
Okay. No. But that's what I was saying. Like the first half was intensity. And
Okay. Yeah.
Transition
One
point.
last thing on intensity, because we're training with a high level of intensity. We're seeing what our body is capable of. We're finding the limitations that our mind is placing upon us, and we're trying to break through them. We need tools to be able to push past the barriers and the limitations that we set for ourselves. Bringing up old emotions, powerful, strong emotions. There was a long time where I trained by asking myself when I was tired, gun to your head, could you do one more rep? Kind of fucked up, but it's powerful.
that doesn't work for me.
It so for some people it's gun to your head, for some people it's gun to someone else's head. Like
You don't-
it worked for me.
That just makes me not feel good.
It worked for me, but it might work for you, it might not work for you. But the point is,
Sophia said,
there's
if it works, it
something
works.
that will allow you to dig deeper than you previously thought you could.
I think
If it works, it works, Sophia.
more sunshine point of view, your belief in yourself is what makes that possible.
Yeah, Alexa has a big thing about
If
if she sees you shake your head no during a set, like if you're doing a set, if you send Alexa a set and you kind of do one of these, even if it's just like you shaking your head to be like shake something out, she'll tell you no, shake yes, you can.
oh my gosh, okay, this is look here. I used to be a head shaker. I used to be a no, this is really hard, I can't do it, I'm uncomfortable, no. Whatever it is, I would shake my head no. And I switched it to, in those moments where I'm experiencing that discomfort, I initiate my response, I almost Pavloved myself, that when I experience that discomfort, I nod. And when I nod, I say to myself, yes, I can. Regardless of what you're feeling and what you're experiencing, if you can get yourself to perform the action of nodding and saying, yes, I can, you will believe the narrative. Like you will say it in your mind and you will believe it, because in that state, like
That's really funny.
I'm gonna say alive.
That's really funny because when I was thinking, gun to my head, can you do one more? My answer to myself was, yes, I fucking can.
Oh, so you're just getting to the same.
Yeah, it's a means to an end.
Okay, so I just removed
He just needs a little bit of darkness first.
Alexa from Texas, no guns.
I so want to get with people.
So, however you get to the yes, I can means to an end. Get there. Dig deep, find it. Yes, you can. And if you're spotting someone, fucking remind them. Yes, you can.
Alexa does that to me.
We do it. We do it to each other. We do it to everybody we spot. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's
if
like
they look
a
like they're gonna stop.
government
No. Yes, you can. I pride myself on being a pretty good spotter.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, you're a good
You are
spotter.
Yeah. y'all are-
Okay. So intensity.
Did I have something? I think
Train hard, controlled aggression. Yes, you can. Stop shortchanging yourself. You're capable of more. We know it. You need to know it.
if you are
Prove
somebody
it.
who wants to accumulate tissue, that's how you're gonna do it.
Fucking gotta.
I don't care what your genetics are. I don't care if you're purple, brown, black, green, or yellow. If you want to accumulate tissue, you can have nutrition as dialed as you want. If you're not training hard, you're not going to put on tissue. You can be on all of the drugs in the world. If you're not training hard, they're not gonna do anything.
Mhm. Now, training hard and training well go hand in hand.
Well, they can. We want them to.
They should. They should.
Hopefully.
There is, you'll appreciate this, Drea. There is a phrase that my powerlifting friends used to say, up no matter what.
PRER.
PR to ER, dude. I like that.
That's what we always said before we went for our third attempts on the platform.
PRER.
PRER.
Wait, up no matter what. Name me your first sex tape.
Oh my God.
If you guys haven't been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I have been. So.
It's the name of my sets tape.
Oh
Get it?
my God. Go away.
For all my training sets. All right.
That's-
So we are training to accumulate tissue. We're training like bodybuilders. We're training with intention. Mind muscle connection is a focus. Up no matter what doesn't necessarily apply here. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that we cut ourselves short just because something isn't perfect. On your top sets, allow for up to, and this is why you need to be sending videos to your coaches, allow for up to a 10% deviation in form. Your last reps of your top set are not always going to be pretty. They shouldn't really be perfect.
Or your working sets for my ass.
Or your working sets, top sets, working sets. This goes for your sets to failure.
Pretty much everything but your warm-up set.
Pretty much everything but your warm-up set, yeah, are not going to be perfect. We work with you and we assess training videos to improve your mind-muscle connection, to improve your execution, to improve your intensity, and to ultimately create what we refer to as progressive stimulus. Increasing volume over time, increasing your strength of your contractions, your range of motion, all of these things, essentially just getting better at training. But we're not lifting ugly weights. We're not performing ugly movements. What?
Did anybody else just get like a cartoon pop in their head of like an ugly weight?
No, I thought of like a bunch of really not pretty movements. You guys know the difference between like when I actually have this in the one of the weeks that we're going to be talking about during the challenge, but this kind of goes back to like the baseball analogy of like instant feedback, practicing one movement thousands and thousands of times. Bruce Lee, what did he say? He said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. You can tell the difference between someone who is not a good squatter versus someone who has practiced that squat thousands and thousands of times. It's pretty. We want pretty movements, but we also want intensity and controlled aggression, not just aggression, but controlled aggression. So this is why we assess your training videos. When I give you feedback on your execution, your intensity, your intent, and help you improve and progressively stimulate. But I think one of the point of this chat, and I think the biggest opportunity that nearly everyone has, is to just learn how to fucking train hard.
Get uncomfortable.
Get really uncomfortable and learn to not only just be okay with it, but kind of like chase it.
Do that by seeking out discomfort in other areas of your life as well. So cold immersion is a solid one. Learning to breathe through that can help you be more comfortable with sitting in the discomfort of a set. Light, introducing light first thing in the morning. So as soon as you wake up, get some bright light in your eyes, get yourself out of rest and digest. That's going to help you to wake up as well, and probably a little cortisol spike. What else do you have? Drea, you have anything here?
I really like leaning into things that are traumatic for you or uncomfortable for you. Like whenever you have those things pop up, whether it's like something as simple as a thing that somebody does that annoys you consistently, just getting comfortable within understanding that you control your actions and your reactions to things and focusing more on that side of it rather than letting whatever's going on around you become so overwhelming for you that it then affects how you perceive the rest of your day.
That's a good
'Cause
one.
I used to have a huge issue with like my reactivity. Um, and at like the smallest thing, it could set me into like a PTSD episode. But having worked a lot on mental health and working like different strategies for that, I feel more comfortable whenever I'm having like physical, mental, emotional discomfort because I've worked on reeling in the mental side of things. And I think that that applies to training, that applies to being uncomfortable within like being hungry when you're in a cut, being uncomfortable doing more cardio than you're used to. Like it can go across the board, you know?
This also, you mentioned being uncomfortable in a cut. I think of prep. When it comes to prep, I know exactly what I want. And I am determined as fuck to get it. So I welcome discomfort. I welcome hunger. It's uncomfortable. The cardio is hard. The core training is hard. The hunger is hard. The workouts are hard. The low energy is hard.
The brain fog is hard.
Every part of it is hard. But I know what I want. I'm like really dead set on what I want and why I'm doing it. So if you're the type of person that finds yourself, what?
I said what he said.
So if you're the type of person that finds yourself shortchanging yourself, quitting when it gets a little uncomfortable, stopping because it hurts a little bit, like remember why you're doing this. Like, what do you really want? Like, write it down, think about it. How important is it to you? Because if it's important, you'll work for it. You'll endure discomfort. You'll suffer, and you'll find joy in that.
Even if you don't want to get on stage, even if your goal isn't to get on stage, it's just to have a banging bod or be super strong. Same thing applies.
Yeah, same thing applies. And
Or to be healthy, even if it's literally just taking care of your health.
the
But even
only
being
way, like,
healthy-
especially when it, what's that? Yeah.
I said, even nowadays, like to be a healthy person, you have to get uncomfortable because of today's society. Like you're gonna be uncomfortable if you're somebody trying to be healthy. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
You either get to control it or you don't.
Yeah. Going
Yep.
out to eat with your friends as someone who's trying to be healthy, if your friends aren't about this life, is going to be uncomfortable. They're going to ask you questions about why you're doing this and that. Like, oh, come on, dude, it's just one thing.
But so is
But, like-
going out to eat a bunch of times and getting bad foods that don't agree with your stomach, and then your clothes don't fit well.
Choose
Also uncomfortable.
choose your hard.
Yep.
One is comfortable and hard for a little while, and then it gets uncomfortable and hard. One is uncomfortable and hard, and then it gets comfortable and hard. You're going to choose your discomfort on the front end or the back end. You deal with it now, you reap the rewards. You deal with it later, you get the opposite. But as it pertains to your training, you're not going to grow if your training is comfortable. You know, you might improve your movement patterns. You're not going to get stronger. You're not going to build tissue. You're not going to create any sort of adaptation. If you're doing something that your body is already capable of doing, it has no reason to change. Your body's not going to adapt to something if it doesn't need to adapt. There's no point. Your body doesn't know you're in the gym lifting weights in an environment where the safeties are set and like you're all good. It doesn't understand that. It understands that there's pressure on the body, that there's a stimulus being applied to the body that it has to adapt to. And if it doesn't adapt, then you could die. But it has to have that like intensity built in, adapt or die. But if you're not giving it anything above, if you're not placing any stimulus on your body other than something that it's already capable of, then it's not going to adapt. So,
Well, it doesn't need to adapt.
doesn't need to. There's no point. Why would it waste energy doing that?
Okay, mama getting hungry.
Okay. Speaking of being uncomfortable and hungry, Alexa is going to have her last meal of the day right now. And then she's going to go to bed in about 45 minutes before she gets hungry again. And I'm going to have my last meal.
And still be eating by the time we get in bed.
Probably. Also uncomfortable. Eating an uncomfortable amount of food right now. But I don't
You
know.
gotta
Man.
get it comfortable to
I
grow.
like it. I like it. I feel like it's rare that you're in like, as bodybuilders especially, that we're in like the only really comfortable phases. The only really comfortable phases are in between the phases. Like there's off season and there's prep.
I would say the start of the phases.
Yeah, like in between those, like when they're first shifting, you're like, oh man, this feels good. You know, coming out of fat loss, coming out of prep, get a little bit of food, coming out of your bulk or out of your off season, you get a better digestion and like less food. And man, otherwise I'm just pretty uncomfortable a lot. But I like it.
Why do we?
Cause I like it. I don't know, cause it's good for you. Feel like a dad. Get uncomfortable. It's good for you.
Atlas is
Sound like a
not-
1990s baseball coach.
All right. I love you guys.
I love y'all. Thanks for letting us rant on this one.
Oh wait, does anyone have anything on this? Oh, Andrea, it always works for you.
Yeah, it
I
works for
know. I don't know.
doesn't work for any of us. I don't know, dude. She got the new iOS.
Oh, I did it.
Whoa.
Look at all them hearts.
Hmm.
Oh,
All right.
you guys hopped on a little bit late, but we said earlier that rep ranges are just a suggestion. So if you missed that, you should be training to failure regardless of what it says on your programming. Because I have a couple of my athletes in here.
Are where you are trying to pick a weight that you are going to fail at in that rep range.
In that rep range, yeah.
Yeah,
If
so-
you go over your
Don't
rep range,
shortchange yourself.
increase the weight a little bit.
Yeah.
If you don't even meet the baseline minimum, if you're supposed to hit 10 and you get like 6 or 7, drop the weight a little bit.
Spoiler, you only really know where you're going to fail and what weight you should use if you actually fail.
And you have to track your log. You have to
Log your lifts, train
That part.
hard, find out what you're made of, find out what your failure point is, and use that to establish your rep range weight. I love you guys. Have fun, train hard, be badasses.